Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Tea. This is so good. I have to hold it up so you can see in my camera. I really am having tea. I hope you are too. I'm so glad you're here. Today, as I talked about in the opening little video, I hope that let everybody know that we were live. We're going to be talking about 5 ways to deal with BSOs. And y'all know what BSOs are, right? They're bright, shiny objects. They are those things that tempt us to fall down Alice's rabbit hole. So that's what we're going to be doing a little bit later today in the show. And of course, I'm Louise Cooke, and I'm coming to you from Texas. And after some really unusual weeks of cold weather, of rainy weather, we got 90 degrees yesterday, which was fantastic. I went out for a walk and had a wonderful time. Bill and I were just like, help. I mean, I'm sure I scared all the neighbors with my bright white legs, but what are you going to do? It's 90 degrees. We all need sunshine after being cooped up in the house. So that was awesome. Of course, this is Elevenses with Lisa, and Elevenses is kind of the traditional tea time. And let me turn off my phone's going off. It's a traditional tea time, and so I hope that you got a chance to pick out your favorite teacup and get a tea that you enjoy. I have a question for you. So in the chat, I want to know, it's funny, I was talking about Elevenses with Lisa, and I told you guys the story in the first episode about why I picked that name, but it is kind of a mouthful, and I am interested to know if you have another name. Do you like that name? Does that make sense? Should we stick with it, or should we call it something else? So if you have some ideas on that, I would love for you to put that in the chat, because I'm looking for ideas. We can do whatever we want, right? So if we like the name, we're going to keep it. If we don't like the name, we're going to change it. And if you have a suggestion for a name, of course, I'm very interested in that. So let's see here. I'm going to do something different in today's episode, and I'm so glad you're here. And I hope I'm looking at the live chat here. I've got my iPad set up trying to see if I can actually see what's happening. I think I've got live chat here. Okay, so live chat is important because this is all about connection here at the show. And in today's episode, I am going to give away a 1-year Genealogy Gems Premium membership. So aren't you happy you're here live? I'm happy you're here live. So Genealogy Gems Premium membership is kind of an exclusive subscription part of my website at genealogygems.com. Of course, there's a lot of free stuff over there. But I record a ton of my classes that I present as I travel around, and I put those on video. I've got the handouts, and members can enjoy that all year long. So on this notepad, I'm not going to show you the number, but I wrote a number. And this number, I'm going to count down the comments that are in the comments for this live video. And the person on this number of comments is going to win a 1-year Genealogy Gems Premium membership at the end of the episode. And so you'll be able to have me all day long, all year long, right? We'll do genealogy together. And of course, in addition to the videos, there's podcast episodes. So if you like the podcast, you're going to get, oh my gosh, I think there's 180 episodes, and they're all archived. So those are all available, and those are exclusive just for premium members. So those are unique. They're different than what you hear on the free show. So we're going to be doing that. And if you're already a member, that's okay, because I will just tack an extra year on to your membership. So hit the comments and let me know, where are you from? Put your place where you live. What are you drinking in your teacup? Huh? Chamomile today. Chamomile. I think I need to calm down. All right. So, and also, do you like the name of Elevenses with Lisa? And if not, do you have a suggestion for a new name? All right. So let's see what else we've got going on here. Well, I see that Christine is with us. We got Christine and Christina. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. And Jojo. And I think I saw that Marianne had liked the live video. So I'm just so glad you guys are all here. This morning I tried actually sending out an event that I created in the Genealogy Gems Facebook page to alert you all that we're doing this. So I hope that all got to you. Let's see if these things work. Talking about teacups. So what is this teacup I have here? Well, it has a little bit of history to it. And in fact, I think it's kind of relevant for what we're going through right now in terms of just, kind of a national, a worldwide kind of crisis. Back in the 1930s, of course, they went through the Great Depression. And this is depression glass. Okay. And it's got a nice little lovely saucer. This is amber depression glass. There's different colors that you can get. There's green and there's pink. And I like the amber. And the story behind this is I didn't inherit this from anybody in my family tree. It was actually kind of the tradition that I started when my kids were young. So, you don't have a lot of money when you're newly married and the kids start coming, and we had 3 little girls. And so I fell in love with depression glass because I have just a penchant for going through antique stores. I love antique stores. And what I noticed was pink, which of course was beautiful, which is what I wanted, was very expensive, but amber was very affordable. You could get a teacup for $1 or $2 and maybe the saucer, or you might find a collection of them. And a lot of these came in like soap containers. So back in the 1930s, when people were going through the Great Depression, one of the incentives to purchase a big box of, laundry soap was that you would get a piece of depression glass and people would build their own collection of dinnerware. And it was very affordable. Of course, a lot of it broke, but actually this is really hefty. It's kind of thick. So it's very sturdy, and it has hung in there all these years. And I have a whole collection of the amber, and it's called Madrid. My pattern is called Madrid. Each pattern has its own name. So if you've ever seen depression glass, that's what it is. It was actually a very cheap, affordable glassware back from the Depression era, so for me, that's kind of like, it has such fond memories of having young kids and a young family. And I know my girls have all eyed it. I think they're almost more interested in this than the stuff that I got from my grandparents, because it comes from me. So I'll have to figure out how we're going to divvy it up when I'm old and gray. I am getting grayer by the day because I can't go to the hairdresser, people. Okay. So let's see what's next here. So I wanted to talk about connecting. Because being home, it's kind of challenging. I know you're feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's hard to be away from kids. And we've got Easter this Sunday. And of course, we're going to be away from much of our family. So one of the things I've been trying to do, and I'll see if I can put this up here, is I've been FaceTiming my grandkids. And I imagine you've been doing some of the same with your family, your kids, if you have older parents, if you have kids who live in different parts of the country. And my grandkids are about 45 minutes from here. But it's funny, my kids are just terrified to see Shasha and Bumpa because they're so worried they don't want to be the ones to somehow give us a virus. And their daddy still goes to work half days. In an office with just a few people. So we've been connecting. This is Miss Emily, and we had so much fun. I read Emily's stories, and you can do this if you just have storybooks at the house. I read her a couple of stories, and I don't know if you've been around Genealogy Gems for a long time, I did a video way back when called Socks to America. And it was these sock puppets. So I grabbed one of them out of the closet, and sock puppets are perfect for grandkids because they can pop up and they can come from the side. And anyway, she was laughing hysterically. So that was a hit. Now, here was the other thing. And if you have older kids or grandkids that you're trying to stay connected with, and of course, I consider family history to be as much about the living as it is about the dead. Okay, we don't want to forget about the living. So I'm always looking for ways to try to connect with my kids and my grandkids. And so what we did with the boys, who are 8 and 10, is I talked to their mom and my daughter, and she got an extra phone that they had, around the house, like an old phone. Or if you have a phone and a tablet, we put Draw Something. It's an app, and you put that on your iPad or a tablet or just an extra phone, somebody else's phone in the house. And then we did FaceTime with the phone, and we played back and forth. So normally, through the app, you can draw pictures. It's kind of like Pictionary. You can draw pictures and you can guess. So we do that, but oftentimes, you're usually not seeing the person that you're playing with. This was even better because I had my phone set up, and as you can see in the picture there, and I could see the boys, we could talk, we could laugh, we could see the expressions, which is what we're missing so much right now as we're staying home. And yet we could still play the game live and see the answers. So that's kind of a fun idea if you like something. And Draw Something is free, so you can download that app in your app store. All right, well, let's see what else I've got here. Okay, so I loved getting all kinds of comments from you last week. In the last 2 weeks, I've been checking the comments on both the video replays of the first 2 episodes, both here on Facebook and also on YouTube. And I got a couple of really neat messages. Some people emailed me too, so that was great. Let me share with you a couple things. So you might remember from the first episode, remember I put this up? I warned everybody early on, don't cut your own bangs. We didn't know how long this was going to last, though, staying at home. And so anyway, I said, do genealogy instead. So I was on Instagram, and you can follow me at Genealogy Gems Podcast on Instagram. Do a search for me there. And so this gal, this is so adorable. She tagged me in her post, and she says, the other day, I watched a video from one of my favorite genealogists, Louise Cooke. She encouraged us family history nuts with things to do from home during COVID-19. And she says, she also warned us, do not cut your own bangs. Guess what? I cut my own bangs. I had to do it. I understand. It's been longer than we thought it might be. So anyways, she says, she looks adorable. I love your haircut. You did a really good job. So I went to CVS Pharmacy yesterday because I had to pick up a prescription. And I go in, and the hair coloring section is decimated. Just even the touch-up stuff for the roots. Oh my gosh, people. That tells you a lot about what's happening in the world and in the community when you go to the store and you see what's missing from the shelves this week. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for tagging me and sharing that. And do follow me on Instagram. Is really fun. It's a different kind of culture, different kind of atmosphere than it is on Facebook. I don't do a lot personally on Facebook, but I do on my Instagram page. I love sharing the behind the scenes and what's happening in my world. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out on Instagram. That's a good way to fall asleep at night. Okay. So here's the next thing. This is from Dana. So I want to show you her picture. So she emailed me this picture, and she said, we talked about the fact that myheritage is offering free colorization of photos. I think they're still doing it. I think they're doing it through April. And they have this amazing colorization tool on their website. If you've used it, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear if you've been having some great successes. That's how I heard about Dana's picture. So she says that she had this picture, and I don't know if you can see here. On the left, you can kind of see between the 2 posts, there's a couple standing there, and that's great. And she says, I've been having so much fun with this. And she colorized her prom picture. It looked adorable. She says, after she colorized the residents in this picture, she says, I realized there were 2 additional people in the photo that I could not see previously. So let's look at that. This is so cool. So check it out. So you can see the couple and look at the difference. Holy cow. You can see the couple standing between the 2 posts on the left, but there's another couple standing right smack dab in the middle in front of the house. And she says, it's so old it wasn't even a black and white picture. She assumes that her great-great-grandparents are in the photo and that her great-great-grandfather died in 1888. So that kind of helps you judge the age of the photograph. That is what is so cool. Sometimes people say, well, what's the big deal colorizing pictures? I mean, it's neat, but I'm with Dana on this. It's amazing what it reveals. You think you're looking at a photo and you can see what's in it, but you add the color and as you can see it can correct so much of the lighting and all of that. That is a fantastic tool in your toolbox just to kind of re-examine your photos, try the MyHeritage colorization because I think you're going to love it. Thank you so much to Dana for sharing that. And I also wanted to share, last week I told you about the story on the sour cream cookies from the Larson family from the cookbook. And Rebecca says, I made the sour cream cookies. Oh my gosh. So I put the recipe up on the screen. Good job. Screen capture. She says they were delicious. And she used dates and was not disappointed. Thank you. I did golden raisins and pecans, and it makes it so rich. It's like almost like banana bread cookies, but you know, golden raisins. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, so let's get right into our presentation because I certainly don't want anything else to crash here before we can get to that, because I'm really excited about showing you these ideas on how to deal with your BSOs, okay? These bright, shiny objects. So I am going to head over here to my presentation and let's get started. So we are talking about how Alice, the genealogist, can avoid the rabbit hole. Now you'll remember that last week we talked about the fact that this is just a universal problem, and particularly in terms of genealogy research. But, you know, have you found just being online more when you're home that it's like I open Facebook and pretty soon I'm off over here when I meant to go check my kids' profile pages. So, you know, it's easy to fall down a rabbit hole. The first thing we talked about in order to kind of circumvent the rabbit hole was, number one, to have a very clear research question. And this is really key because you need to know and be very specific about what it is you're trying to find. And particularly because if you get stuck and you need to enlist some help from somebody, you're going to want to be able to also be able to articulate to them very clearly what it is you're trying to get help on. And then the second thing we did was we took that question and we mapped your next moves. And so we found that actually many questions have multiple questions inside of them. Really, if you're trying to find out when somebody was born, well, there are several questions to be answered in order to kind of get your way to the records that you need. And so you're going to be making these additional questions like, well, you know, is there a birthplace on their passenger list? Did they immigrate? You know, is there naturalization paperwork? That kind of thing. And then we're also even going to map out which records specifically, make a checklist of the records, and also a checklist of where you think you can access those records. This might be online resources. It might be that you're going to do some online research to find out where these records are held offline in a archive or a library. And, you know, I follow the Genealogy Center out in the Allen County Public Library, and Kurt Witcher and his organization up there in Indiana. And I follow them on Instagram, and they were saying they're still there. They're not open to the public, but even from home, even during this time when we can't leave the house necessarily, we can tap into the experts who are still at the archives or libraries in some instances. So you can always try and send them messages and see if they can help do a quick lookup for you. So we're definitely going to know where we're headed, what the questions are, what the records are, and specifically where we think we can find them. If nothing else, that gives us a really terrific checklist to check off and make sure that we've found everything we plan to find. And along the way, we're going to add to that list because we're going to discover additional things that maybe we hadn't thought of that we could add and track down. So the third step in this process is to have a process for the bright, shiny objects. And that's what we're doing this week because you're going to run into them. And we need to know how to deal with them. So if you have a map and that's telling you where you're going, you got to have a process to deal with the obstacles that are going to come on the map. The map's going to help you realize this is off track. I really shouldn't go down this path because I am focused on this question. But if you don't have a method to deal with your BSOs, it's going to be tempting to chase after them. So how do you identify, how do you really say, oh yeah, that's a BSO. That's really not within the scheme of what I'm working on. You know, we can't avoid danger, if you will, if you don't know what it looks like. So I have a test for you, a BSO test. So let's take the test. The first thing that you can ask yourself is, does this get me closer to answering my research questions? And if it doesn't, it's a BSO. On a scale of 1 to 10, how potentially critical is this to my research? Okay. If it's low on the scale, again, that goes into the BSO category. And the third question in our test is, am I willing to give up finding the answer to my research question in order to pursue this? I think having that on your checklist of these 3 questions for your test, it actually reminds you, every choice is a choice against something else. So if we choose to go and, I'm just going to spend a few minutes, I'm just going to click a few more links, and you start going down that path, you've really made a very deliberate choice to not be successful in your research question. And so I love having this just spelled out as a question. As soon as I read it, I say to myself, no, it's not worth it because I really want to find this out. So if we chase them and if we don't acknowledge this, then we don't reach our goals. So this really spells it out very quickly and easily. What is a BSO? So you've identified what the BSOs are, these bright, shiny objects, but you don't want to chase them. Now, the primary reason that we pursue BSOs, why we kind of just start clicking the links and start chasing down these leads, is that we don't have a process for dealing with them. And that's so true in so many different things. If you don't have a method, a process for dealing with something, it becomes willy-nilly and you just fall prey to it. So I have this process for you. The first thing you need to do is to capture them, okay? Because one of the reasons we chase them is we're afraid they're going to run away or we're going to forget about them. They're going to disappear. So the process is, number 1, to record the BSO, have a method that you know and a routine. I really should say routine because it's really a habit. It's a good habit. And if you know what the process is and you just have a habit of doing it, you can record it, but you have to have the other piece of it, which is you have to know and have confidence that you are going to return to it. That's another thing I know that drives me. I think to myself, well, sure, I could just look at this later, but I probably won't, and I don't know when I'll find time, and I really don't have a way of, I should just do this now. And that's what kind of goes through your head, and that's what catches us. So in this process, we're going to record it, but we also have a method for returning to them so that you can feel confident that they won't be lost and you will make time to go back and check them out. So let's talk about number 1, which is the recording of the BSO. I would recommend, I think this is really the best way to go, and you'll see why in a minute. I mean, you can use paper and pen. If that's what you do, that's fine. You can have a notebook or, someplace where you record what you're looking for. But, we're dealing with URLs and links, right, to web pages, because most of the time this kind of stuff happens online. So writing out a big, long URL, particularly for a web page that's deep within a website, so it's a really long, cumbersome URL, that's not practical. And that's why we need a cloud note-taking tool of some type, because we are already online. We need an online way to capture. So when we talk about cloud note-taking, we're talking about cloud-based, which cloud just means it's hosted online. It's on somebody else's website. That's it. That's as fancy as it gets. And we want that note-taking service to also have a software that we can put on our own computer and also apps that we can put on our phone. Because so often we're on the road or we're sitting on the couch watching a show and we check a little something and pretty soon we're spotting something maybe in online that we don't want to lose. So it's a cloud-based website. It's free software. I want free. We got to make as few barriers as possible when it comes to doing this. And it's hopefully going to have a mobile app as well, so we can do this on our tablet or our phone. You want it to be able to capture all types of information that you find. And that's the beauty of some of these cloud note-taking services is they can do websites. You can record an audio note to yourself. If you think of something, I do that all the time. As I'm preparing for this show, I am thinking of things randomly throughout the day, and I will grab my phone and make an audio note to myself. You want to be able just to write a note to yourself. If you take a video of something, you're on the road and you see something at a cemetery and you take a quick little video, you want to be able to put that in your note system. So all the different ways that we capture information, that's what we want to be able to capture in our note-taking. And cloud note-taking stores these in the cloud, which means I can pull up this note on my desktop. I can do it on my phone. I can do it from somebody else's computer. I can do it from the computer at the library. So it gives us a lot of flexibility because it's one account that synchronizes together no matter in what way you're accessing your note-taking service. So that means it's accessible by, of course, all of the devices that you use, and we're using more and more than we ever have before. And of course, I want free or low cost because that means fewer barriers. We're going to feel comfortable using it, and we're not going to be incurring a lot of extra cost. So some of the most popular ones, I'm sure you've heard of them, are Evernote, and that's a standalone. That's kind of what that company does, is this note-taking service. Google Keep. Google has its own version of kind of a cloud note-taking, and Microsoft has OneNote, and you might already have OneNote if you have a PC. You can check and see if that's on your computer. I use Evernote, so I'm going to talk about that, but you can use any of these types of services to do this. So here's the concept with a cloud note-taking service. It allows you to tag. Okay, you can tag your notes. So the key here is tag, you're not it. Here's all the BSOs I've been running into. That's not my current research question. That is not supporting what I'm currently working on. So I have my goal. I want to stay focused on that. So I want to be able to quickly tag these other items that are coming along the way down my path and be able to tag them as a BSO. And that's going to be our trick for being able to retrieve them as well. So let me show you just an example. This is what the software looks like for Evernote on your computer. So this is the desktop software. And you can see on the left, there's a bunch of organizational types of features, including tags. Okay, so tags is what we're going to be using. In the center column where the little documents are, those are the different documents in my system. I have thousands of them. So if I do a quick search, all the ones that match my search criteria are going to show up in this column in the middle. And on the other side, in the big screen, is going to be the note that I'm currently working on. So as you can see, I have a census record, and this is captured in Evernote, and I did some annotation on it so I could kind of see what I'm looking at. This is it. It's a one-screen system, and you can check it out. It's at evernote.com. You can get the free version, and it has all the basic bells and whistles, and then you can upgrade if you want to use it for other things. I think it's maybe $7 a month or something like that. But you don't have to upgrade in order to be able to use this effectively for capturing BSOs. So I want to zoom in a little bit, and I want to show you when I see something online. You can see I found this document. Okay, oh, this document doesn't really fit into what I'm currently working on, but I don't want to lose it because it kind of crossed my path, and I want to not only capture it, but I want to remember why it was appealing to me. Have you ever looked at some of the old bookmarks on your computer browser and thought, why did I bookmark that? I don't even remember what that was about. Why was that important to me? That's the beauty of what this note-taking can do for us. So the first thing we have to do is we have to mark it as a BSO. So at the top, you see the arrow. You can click Add Tag. Okay, so I've clipped it. It's come into Evernote, and I have a picture of it. Basically, it's clipped it in terms of giving me an image of the note that I found. I'm going to click Add Tag, and this little window at the bottom pops up, and I'm going to type in BSO. I created a tag, literally, called BSO. I have tags for surnames, locations, time frames, record types. Those are kind of the key kinds of tags that I make on a regular basis. But nothing says that you can't make tags, in a sense, to tell you what action to take. And in this case, I want to say this is a BSO. I don't want to lose track of it, but I want to be able to access it later and work on BSOs. I also have things like pending or waiting for an answer, or, whatever kinds of action reminders that you want. Think of it as like a reminder. So I've tagged it BSO, and you can see over on the left-hand side, now in alphabetical order, are all the tags I've created, and BSO is one of them. So at any time, if I have a few minutes and I think I want to take a look and go ahead and dig into one of those, all I have to do is go into Evernote, whether it's on my phone or on my desktop, and I can click the BSO tag, and there's all the things I have clipped that I did not lose. Now, when I clip a BSO, I want to put in and just bake in there some reminders that are going to help me remember what was catching my eye about this record or this piece of information that I found on a website. It doesn't have to be a record. It could literally be an article, a paragraph in an article. It could be a picture, whatever it was that caught your eye and you think, oh, I want to chase that down. So in this case, you're going to click the little annotation tool, and again, Evernote changes over time a little bit. They tweak things and the interface. So if it looks a little different on your system, don't worry. It does look different on the app. The app, think of it in terms of functionality. The functionality is always there. It might appear different in how you access it. And it certainly is a little bit formatted different on a phone than it would be on your desktop. But when you tap annotation, then I could put an arrow. It was the fact that this was in Monroe Township that caught my eye because I had no idea these people were there, right? So put little arrows, put words, put things that remind you what it was that was so significant about this document or this BSO. When you click the annotation tool, you actually get several different tools to work with, and you can see I can make arrows to point to things, I can add text, I can put a box around something, I can highlight, I can do all kinds of things. I can even set a reminder or a timer that says, make this note pop up at this time and day so that I'll go take a look at it. But we have another way to deal with that too. We're going to do that in just a second. So as you can see, I put arrows on the place. I noticed a little handwritten note on the left-hand column, actually to the left of the left-hand column. And so I wanted to make sure that I went back to that and checked that out. And I also drew a red box around the family that caught my eye on this particular document. So even if it's 2 months from now, when I go back and look at this BSO, I'm going to know exactly what it was I was trying to do. So annotated BSO note, this is what it looks like. So now I could be working in other notes. This will kind of disappear from my screen, but at any time I want to retrieve it, I can click the BSO tag and it's going to pop right back up. And as you can see, I have multiple BSO tags. Not tags, notes. Okay, so here I'm at Family Search, and I'm going to use the web clipper. This is a web browser extension that you can put on. It's Evernote. There's a little elephant. You can see that's your little icon for the web clipper. When you click the little elephant extension for Evernote, you can do a screenshot. You can capture the entire page, but I just want this document. And I'm going to tag it with the surname, Moore, because this is the family it has to do with. I might as well have a little extra reminders for myself. I tagged it BSO, and I start annotating it. Notice how it gave me this little palette. I haven't even put it yet into Evernote. I just told it what part of the screen I want, and it gives me all the tools right there in my web browser. So make sure you download the extension to your web browser. And you can just Google it, Evernote browser extension, for whatever browser you use. It even gives you a place to add remarks. So if you want to remind yourself, talk to the future you who is dealing with this BSO and say, hey, it was because I have never seen this name before. I want to go back and check this person. So I'm going to click Save. Now it's processed it. And if I were to go open my Evernote software or open my app on my phone, I'm going to see that note. Notice also, here's the note. It's got all the tags, but Evernote also automatically added a link to the web page where I got the note. So I clipped a picture of just the record, And now I've got a clickable link. It's almost like a little mini source citation built right into the note itself when it was created, that is one click away access to exactly the page that I've been on. I don't even have to highlight and copy and paste the URL. So that's really, really cool. One little tip, when you're looking at a record like this, you're looking at it through a viewer. They are displaying the digitized record to you through this viewer web portal, if you will, that's baked into the page. If you were to capture the whole page, you might not get the record, depending on how the programming behind the scenes works. Screen clipping works best, I think, when you're looking at records in viewers and you really want to capture the record itself. Doing the screen capture versus maybe capturing the entire page is sometimes a better way to go. So that's just a little tip. But you have to love that it automatically includes the link right there with the record. Now, remember we said we have to capture it, but we got to return to it. We want to know that we are not going to just forget about it. Because what good is it if you're just going to forget about it? We're going to schedule BSO time. It's really key, my friends, because if you don't make that time for these items, you'll never get back to them. And therefore, when you run into them, you're going to think, I better chase this down now because I'm never going to get back to it. Okay, so if you schedule BSO time, and I literally do this. I do it in Google Calendar. Doesn't matter what kind of calendaring system you use. I'm sure it has these kinds of features. I go over to my calendars on the left-hand side of Google Calendar, and I'm going to create a new calendar. I actually create a BSO calendar. So I click Create New Calendar, and I call it BSO time. And I literally schedule the time to go back and have fun and play and dig into these items, these little yummy things that sparkled at me that I didn't have time for at the time. So I'm going to mark it BSO. And as you can see, it's now one of the calendars. You can look at just that calendar. You can look at all of the different calendars you have. You can color code them so I can make it a unique color. So when I see that, I know that's what that's about. And I will just create an event in my calendar. Okay, so at this date and time, I am going to dig into all of the BSOs that I tagged for the surname Moore. So if the Moore family, I had several different notes that I'd run into and tagged. I can do specifically just the Moore tags within the BSO tag. So I can set a time. I can even set a little reminder. So I'll get a little pop-up that says, hey, you said you were going to do this. So it'll remind you to do it. I'm going to come over here in Evernote and I'm going to click BSO. But you can filter down. So when I click the little filter, I can say, well, I want everything tagged BSO, but only the ones also tagged Moore. So that's kind of a nice way to work on BSOs, is within one particular family line. So again, you might start to see the connections. Once you're done with it, just click the X next to the tag BSO. The tag pops off and the note, it looked like it disappeared, I know. Don't let that worry you. It didn't disappear. It's still in your Evernote notes. It's just not tagged BSO. So next time you click the BSO tag, the note that you took the tag off of will not be in the list. No problem. If I go tag the Moore tag, if I click the Moore tag, it'll be right there because it's still tagged for the Moore family. So that's another beautiful thing about these cloud note-taking services, is that you can tag them according to the way in which you work with things. And we work with things in lots of different gyrations and different configurations. And that's the beauty of doing this. So there you have it. You have a way to capture the BSOs, a way to make sure that you get back and schedule time. I love my Saturday morning BSO time. You know, you get your cup of tea or whatever and a nice little Danish, and I get to work on the BSOs. Next week, we are going to talk about your environment, okay? So when you're looking for research success, you want to pair your plan that you put in place and process with a great supportive research environment. And that means mobile. We are all on our phones and our tablets so much more often than ever before, and we're doing work there, and we end up screenshotting things into our Photos app because we're so worried we're going to lose them. But I've got some wonderful BSO organizational tips for you. So stay tuned, because that will be next week. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you heard some things that you think are going to come in handy. And I really challenge you to embrace this idea and actually do it. Let's say do it for 1 month. Say, I'm going to mark these BSOs. I'm going to tag them with the family names and the record types. And I'm going to schedule that time. I'm going to make me time just to go in and have fun and play with those bright, shiny objects that you found that you weren't sure, where they fit into the scheme of things, but you knew there was something there that you didn't want to miss. So make time for that. You're worth it. Your genealogy is worth it. Okay? So before we go on, I want to do our winner. Now, I'm going to do my best to pull Facebook back up and see. I hope you've been commenting, because one of you who has placed a comment in today's live show comment section is going to get a 1-year Genealogy Gems premium membership. And it's valued at $50. It's normally good for it's for a whole year. It's got all my video classes, and it also has the premium podcast. So I'm having a little bit of a challenge pulling up. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Here's my number. Have we all? Comment in the comment section is going to be our winner, and I'm going to message you through Facebook and let you know and set that up for you so that you get your 1-year Genealogy Gems premium membership. I hope you enjoy that. Congratulations. I'm so sorry that I don't seem to have the multitasking wherewithal to look at it, but I'm looking at the comments and it's not updating as quickly as I was hoping that it would. Okay, so I will be in touch with you, and we'll announce next week who that winner was as well. Let's see. I have 1 or 2 other little quick things I want to mention to you. And one is that if you're part of a society or a genealogy group, or you just have friends that you'd like to introduce this to, you can do watch parties. So if you look on Facebook under this video, when it's all done and it's rendered, there'll be a start button, and it'll say watch with your friends. So what's fun about this is you can invite, let's say, your genealogy society members who aren't getting a chance maybe to meet in person right now, and you can get together and pop some popcorn, get some tea, and you can watch the shows together. And the beauty of it is it gives you your own little chat. So there's a live chat going on. You guys can talk to each other. You can comment. You can say, oh, I did that, or here's another idea. Add to the conversation. You can do that on Facebook. I also wanted to mention, now let me look here, see if I can get to the right spot. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I also wanted to mention that if you are part of a genealogy society, I've been hearing from many different societies around the country and really around the world, and I have something called a society package. And I wanted to show this to you. It's on the website. If you are trying to find a way to do virtual meetings and you want to get together with people, but you also need, it can become expensive to hire people for individual webinars. Under societies is group package. And there I have a group package. It's good for a whole year. And your society can show Genealogy Gems in my videos at your meetings. Normally you do this when you're all together in one location. But with what's going on with COVID-19, what I've done for any of you who currently have the package is I wanted to make sure that you all know we've just waived the part of the license that says you have to do this in person. So if you have a webinar system like Zoom or GoToMeeting, you can go ahead and hold your meeting and you can use the videos that are part of the society package, and you can show my class video and have your conversation with each other and share and learn and still get together as a society. I created this a couple of years ago because I really wanted to help societies, particularly those that are in more remote locations where you just can't, hire and bring in a speaker every week or fly them in. You've kind of used up the local folks. We've got over 40 classes, I believe, are part of Society Package. There's some great stuff in there, handouts so that you can give them to your members. So during this stay-at-home time, you are welcome to use these. And if you want more information, come check it out on the page. There's a list here, shows you all the different videos. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that that was a resource. And if you currently have a package, I wanted to get the word out that we have waived the thing about doing it in one location. You can do it virtually until the stay-at-home kind of order has been lifted. Okay, so we did that. So the last thing I wanted to do here, let me see if I can. We did our prize drawing. So I'm going to notify the winner. I'm going to tell you the name of the winner next week. And so the last thing I want to do was I wanted to tell you that we're going to do something different next week. Okay, so we did this here at Facebook, and it's been a little bit challenging, but I'm going to try and go here. YouTube. Next week, we're going to do a YouTube Live, okay? And the reason for this, how's that look? That's not too bad. Okay. We're going to do a YouTube Live, and the reason for this is that not everybody's on Facebook, right? And so, you can create an account and not put anything personal on it, but I really want to be in the most universally accessible place I can be for free and make this show continue and available to you. So we're going to do a Facebook Live. I have a very big Genealogy Gems YouTube channel, so we have a big presence on YouTube. I think we're the third largest genealogy channel on YouTube. And I have been posting the recordings of these shows over there, and I know many of you have watched the replays over there, so it seemed to me it made a lot of sense to go ahead and do the live through YouTube and see how that works. I mean, today we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, and I'm interested to see how YouTube handles it. So what I would recommend is that you make sure that you're on the newsletter, and that's where I'm going to give you the link and all the extra information, but I just want you to know it's going to be on YouTube next week, YouTube Live, and leave a comment on either with this video or with the one that's over at YouTube in the past videos. Let me know if you have a preference on either one, but hang with me and let's see if this makes it more accessible for everybody. I mean, that's the most important thing. And let's see how the tech works compared to how it does here on Facebook. So either way, you'll always be able to see the video recordings in both locations after the shows go live and end. Finally, I wanted just to say, I know so many of us are looking for something to watch and to do. And I've been watching some old movies, lots of old movies. I've been recording DVRing some of my favorite old shows that get rerun on channels. But one of the things we need is popcorn, right? And I noticed the other day we were talking about what's sold out of the store. Microwave popcorn was like off the shelf. There was nothing there. And it reminded me that you don't have to do microwave popcorn. Did you know that? You can do it yourself. In fact, you can do microwave popcorn yourself. This was something I learned a long time ago when I was a thrifty young mom. And here's the thing. Popcorn, I wrote this down as a matter of fact. A 6-count box of popcorn is $3.89, and that makes 2 servings each. That's 12 servings. A jar of popcorn, the canisters of popcorn, 32 servings for $4.98. And it's so easy. And I don't want you to not have your popcorn at this stay-at-home time as you're watching this show or TV. So I made a video for you. Okay, here it is. there you have it. Who knew? That's your public service announcement for this week. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. I wish you a very, very blessed Easter, and I'll talk to you next week, Thursday, 11 a.m. Central, and this next week on YouTube Live. Thanks. Talk to you later.